Hello and welcome to the Knock On KCLR and Scoreline.ie's weekly rugby podcast. Paddy Brown, Tom Crotty and James Blanchfield are with us this evening. Lads, how's it going?
Hi, Stephen.
Plenty to talk about this week on the rugby pitch and of course the Ireland All Blacks match, and we'll look back at Ireland-Scotland that, but matters off the field I suppose were the big thing this week. Paddy, in your own club, with the death of young Conor Duffy, which came as an absolute shock, not just to Tullow I suppose, but the county of Carlow and the rugby community in particular, where he was extremely well known.
Yeah, Stephen, it was a black week for Tullow and for rugby generally in the province. And Conor, who celebrated his 21st 2 weeks ago in the club, we lost him at the weekend, and it was an incredible experience for everybody. It was just a black few days, and for the family and for all his friends and the club, it'll be it'll never be forgotten. Conor, most people listen will be aware of his exploits on the rugby field. He came up through he was born and reared in Carlow, but he moved to Athy. He came up through the ranks in Tullow from many youths all up along, and was an outstanding player. Larry Canavan would say, who coached every youth team in Tullow, would say he was easily the most outstanding young player he ever coached, and so his first big achievement on the pitch, I suppose, was a member of the Tullow under-16 team that won the All-Ireland against Ennis. And he moved to Dublin after finishing school, and he played with Clontarf, and he played with Clontarf under-20s and was their star man, and actually so much so that he got onto the Clontarf senior team and played with them a number of occasions, which was quite an achievement for. He wasn't the biggest man in the world. But it was an outstanding player, really. And to Tullow's favour, he decided to come back to the club last year and was a key member of, I suppose, our most successful year ever. He was a key member of the team that won the Towns Cup and that got promotion in the league. And many people would say probably wouldn't have had those achievements without him. And that was. So his family were very involved in the club then as a result, and his first cousin, Daniel Culleton, who joined the club this year and had been playing with Tullow this year, and they were extremely very close, as well as another member of the team, another connection with them is Scott Sullivan. So the three boys were like the three musketeers, so it was great to have those three young men on the team. So, as you can imagine then, the shock, and it was unbelievable, and I just pay credit to our neighbours, Kilkenny and Carlow, and all the clubs. But Carlow, I suppose, in particular, Tom, because he went to school in Carlow and was born in Carlow, and you all knew him very well. And I know you'll talk in a minute yourself, Tom, but your own son was very close to him, so you have an insight that I wouldn't have. But he touched so many lives, and he'd such a wide circle of friends, and I've never seen anything like it. The night of that funeral, to see all those young men and women, supporting each other but broken, is the only way I can put it. In Carpenter's funeral home in Carlow last Monday night, or last Tuesday night, I should say, and then the next day as well after the burial on that horrible wet day, and everybody came back to Tullow Rugby Club to talk and to have refreshments. And it was a massive crowd there at the whole thing. And as I say, the clubs in Leinster rallied round. A bus came down from Clontarf of his teammates from there, and it was an incredibly moving and large funeral. And so while it's a huge loss to Tullow Rugby, it's nothing compared to the loss to his family. They're an incredibly close family. His own immediate family, Carl and Tara and his Shane, and his sister, her name is Casey Jones, I'm very sorry, but also, his cousins who, as I said, played in the team and all. Then even though he's just back a year, he came up to the club, so all the lads knew him extremely well, and everyone called him his friend. Like he was just an amazing young man, and he touched so many people. So look at Stephen. It's a black day, a black week for the club, and it's something that we won't be able to get over for a while, and particularly his teammates. And they did make it back out to training last night, and it was probably a big decision for Morris and the crew. But they reckoned it was better to get together. There's a lot of young people now who we need to look out for, and at a time like this, but it's a great time to have your teammates, and the support that they had for each other was tangible over the last 5 days. So, thanks for giving us the space to remember Conor. He'll be remembered forever in Tullow. And as I say, thanks again to Kilkenny and Carlow and all our neighbours for the massive support we got.
Absolutely.
I don't know where to take on Paddy. I think you hit him nail on the head. It was a horrible week. We know Conor for a long time, and Johnny will say, first of all, he was an avid listener of our podcast here. Always listened in. We met Conor first, I suppose, as a young fella. He played soccer with Ben in Hanover Harps, and Conor, just an outstanding sports person all around, could turn his hand to anything. He's a key member of the little soccer team that was there, and I suppose that's kind of where we came across. I would have known Cahill, but it's where we came across Conor first, and even as a young age, he had this little bit of cockiness about him when he was around the park. But then, such a fantastic kid on the outset of it. But he was, in our hearts, like, he's just a phenomenal sports person. Whether it was football, soccer, rugby, he did it all. When he was on, he made the county football team. As I said, he played with Hanover Harps. He was on the Southeast team. Went on to Leinster, and I think he had a part with under-18s Ireland as well in the development part. Conor was just a 1 in a million person. He always made time, not just for his friends, but more so he did it in order. I think he came, as Paddy will say, he came into the club or he come into your house and he speak with the old fellas and the old fellas first, and spend time with, to say hello to everyone, and then he go on and charm the mammies. And I don't think there was a mother that didn't think he was God's gift, because we had to listen to it, how lovely Conor was. But and then he had such amazing time for his friends and just his friend set. We hammered in tongues against him. Derek Cope was coaching underage against him the whole time with the team, and I came in and helped Derek coach. And Tullow had an outstanding team at the time, and just to break our hearts, we played them so many times in a year, and we were always beaten, and it didn't matter whether, as Derek used to be driven mad by Conor, because Tullow could have beaten us by 30 points, and he'd turn around and there's Conor sitting in the middle of all the Carlow lads in the Carlow dressing room, and would be out socialising with all the Carlow lads. And eventually we turned around one day and said, would you not just sign over, because you seem to spend more time with the Carlow lads than you do in Tullow. But he's just he's going to be so sadly missed. I can't say enough. Words just can't speak. They're a fantastic family. The Duffy family has a huge attachment with sport in Carlow as a whole, and his uncle PJ played rugby in Carlow. He used to come from soccer first and then come over and play rugby. And Cahill played a tiny bit and then get injured and couldn't play anymore. But Cahill's went over, as I said, when they moved over to Ratho. I think Cahill became a huge part of Tullow. And in fairness, he became a through and through Black Gates man, and he followed Conor everywhere. It didn't matter whether it was Tiddlywinks, the two of them were together. So it was kind of heartbreaking for everyone. I think everyone was shocked. And well, I think all I can do is sum Conor up in one moment. And it was last year's Towns Cup semi-final. And it was the last kick of the game. We had to draw the match. And Ben missed the kick. And the first person over to him was Conor. And I wish I had a photograph, but the two of them were together. He was over to console Ben in such a genuine way. You know, there was nothing afterwards. I mean, he invited them. The lads were drinking together afterwards, and having the crack, and it just summed Conor up in a simple moment in time. I think I can just say he's a beautiful soul. Last too young. And all we can do is give our condolences and support every young person that's around and help them and try and keep them in sport. And I think it's a huge thing that rugby is an amazing sport that we are together. It doesn't matter what club you play for. And it was when we were out in Tullow after the funeral, you could see it with the Clontarf lads, the Carlow lads. There was people from Kilkenny, people from Gorey. There's just too many clubs to mention that were there. All there to support, and I think it just shows how wonderful our sport itself is. And just to say our condolences, and we're doing a little thing in Carlow at the weekend. We're going to retire the number 8 jersey for our first and seconds at the weekend, just as a little token, just for the family and for Conor.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Tom. And just before you go to James there, Stephen, sorry, thanks, Tom, for those beautiful words, because I know they're from the heart, and I know that Ben and Conor were close. And I forgot to mention there that he did captain the Leinster under 18 to win the interprovincial. So that was a big feather on his cap, and fair play to him for that. And also, thanks to Kilkenny and Carlow both retiring the number 8 jersey for next Sunday, and Tullow have decided to retire it for the year. So it's a fantastic gesture from both. So thank you for that.
Yeah. From my side, from Kilkenny's side, I probably the one who knew Conor least, but the little bit I had with him, the first time I got to meet him was after this year's Towns Cup final, and Tullow beat us on that day, and I think that result will always be remembered for the right reasons, the fact that he was involved in it, but the result is irrelevant today. There's a young life lost, and a great young life lost from my experiences of him. He came down to Kilkenny to play tag rugby over the summer with us, and the one thing that stood out to me was the smile. He had a great smile, and there'd be a cheeky comment and a smile back, and he'd get on with it. And the way he just come across the pitch carrying his boots, as if the world was his oyster, and he had all the time in the world when sadly he didn't. And I think this has been a very poignant week for everyone in Tullow and for the rugby community, but I think particularly for Tullow and the Duffy family. And I had a couple of good chats with Johnny Tobin during the week, and Johnny is heartbroken by the whole thing. I think they were quite close friends and worked together and did a lot together over the years. But the point of it being a poignant week, no life should be lost like this. And I think for anyone that saw the video during the week that I think was Norwich City Football Club brought out, I think that 2-minute video will do all the talking. It's not always the person that's sitting down in the corner being quiet, or it's not always the person that appears to be in a bad way. It sometimes is the least obvious person, So I think there's a message in it for all of our clubs and for the rugby community and the wider sports community is always have your eyes and ears open. It's not what's said. It's not what, sometimes it's just what's done. Sometimes that arm around the shoulder and that one question, how are you, could be the difference between a good day and a bad day, and a good day or the rest of your life, So being the one here that knows Conor least and knew Conor least out of Tullow and Carlow and Kilkenny, that'd be my message to everybody going forward out of this, is let's support one another as much as we can, and kind of make sure that us as a trio of clubs, that if we see something when we're visiting each other's clubs that we're not sure about, or have a tap on the shoulder, you never know what you see or what you might observe, because I'm a firm believer in that everything is avoidable, hopefully. And I'm just numb all week thinking about the chap, and just the crack I had at him playing tag rugby and after a cup final this year, and just want everyone in Tullow to know that we as a club of Kilkenny are here in support in any way we can. When I made the few phone calls, I actually let everyone in Kilkenny know after Johnny sent us all the text on Sunday evening, and I spent 5 minutes looking at the text trying to comprehend it. But I just let a few of the folks at Kilkenny know, and we were all gobsmacked as well. So look at our sincerest condolences to the Duffys and to the Tullow rugby community.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much, James. Appreciate those words.
Absolutely. Lovely tributes paid there, lads. And yesterday, Gorev. Shay to Conor and from KCLR, I suppose, and scoreline, our condolences to the Duffy family and the clubs, of course, and his many circle of friends and wider rugby community as well. Going to move our attention now to matters on the pitch this weekend. With a weekend off last weekend, lads. Tullow have another weekend off this weekend in Leinster League Division 1A, but Kilkenny take the short trip, but a trip nonetheless to Athy, James, this weekend in the Leinster League. Athy are going well. A year after dropping into 1B, a game you're looking forward to, I'd say.
Yeah, I made a try to make a few phone calls today to get a bit of info on some of the lads, and cards have been played close to the chest. As of 4:30, there was no team picked, and Doc is just playing his cards close to his chest. Athy, I think it's probably going to be the first competitive affair between Athy and Kilkenny I can't remember in the last 10, 12 years. So it's going to be an important game in that context. It's an important game in the context of the league, really. Athy have their eyes on promotion, and we have our eyes on promotion. So for that reason, I think it's going to be a very important game. Athy have a couple of Leinster juniors, and we have a trio of Leinster juniors as well. Albeit we're missing Wes again this week, but Wes isn't back until early November. But Athy will be at home. They're riding the crest of a wave. It's going to be a big battle for us. They probably know more about us than we do about them. So going up there is not going to be easy. They have really good form. They're a well-coached side. They have a strong set of forwards. They have an absolutely exceptional out half. They have the chap at the Kieran Fennessy there in the backline who can score a try from nothing. They're a club that are appearing to be doing things the right way. They focused on their youth a long time ago, and they're getting the rewards from that now. So I think it's going to be an exciting game. But in the context of the league, as I always say, leagues aren't won this time of year, but they're certainly lost. So the winner of this game will have a big buffer, have a big kind of advantage for the rest of the season, I think, over the chasing pack. So from that perspective, we're looking forward to it. There are a couple of niggly injuries in around. So, what's going to happen in half back, I'm unsure about. Doc was unsure about when I spoke, so that's why he couldn't really tell me a team. Up front, we have been going well. Our scrum has been going quite well. So if we can continue our dominance in the scrum and get our lineouts going well to give the backs an opportunity to attack, I think it'll be a good day. But our defence will have to be very, very strong against what is a very strong attacking Athy side. So yeah, look, we're looking forward to it. It's our first visit back to Athy, as I said, since the Towns Cup final, and a result in that game now on account of this week has kind of wilted into insignificance for all parties. But we'll be looking forward to it. That's all I can say. First and seconds are both 100% at this season so far. So we're looking forward to it, and we can see what happens. I'm saying a lot, but I'm saying nothing here because I don't have anything to say, because I don't know much about what's happening in the inner circle with our J1s at the moment. But I was chatting with Eamon Dooley, the team manager there, the other night. Eamon's an avid listener of the podcast, and many times he has called me up over comments I've made and whatnot, in a joking manner, of course. But Eamon's looking forward to this one. The team are looking forward to it, and we have a strong Athy influence in our coaching setup. We have two two Athy men in our coaching setup, and Stevie Ashmore and Stephen Talbot, who will know a lot about Athy, and no doubt they will help us prepare for that. Stephen Talbot primarily will know more about Athy because he was involved with the club up until last season prior to joining us. Stevie Ashmore has been gone for them for probably the guts of the last 10 years. And we'll know the players, and he's been at a few of their games. So from that perspective, we'll get to know a little bit about them. But that's all I can say is we're looking forward to it, and may the best team win, really.
Absolutely. Your ladies are out this weekend as well, James.
He's out against Tullow. Yeah. Look, they're going well. They had kind of a blip in their first game of the season, but they've been just going quite well ever since. And as I'm kind of saying, Gary Doyle, Victor Harper, Joe Moynihan, and head coach Paddy Moss, Paddy brought in the guys to help him this year, just kind of to get a little bit more coaching into the team. And Gary particularly has brought a more of an emphasis on kind of getting phases. It's, they have a very strong ability to score off first and second phase, but if they're prepare themselves to go, the women to prepare themselves to go up a division, which is always the ambition, they'll need to get more of a structured game of rugby and more of a phase game of rugby where they're prepared to go through the phases. And in credit to Gary and the rest of the coaches, that's what they're doing. You can hear him on the sideline when you're watching them. He's encouraging them, even though a try may be on from say the second receiver with three people outside. He's encouraging that pass to happen. So getting them playing heads up rugby. They've great numbers. Ciara Coon has probably really been their standout player so far this year. Ciara's fullback for the girls, and I love watching her play rugby because she's a free soul playing rugby. Just give her a ball and she'll run. There's no messing. Yet someone runs at her, runs at Ciara, she tackles them. So the girls are going well. You can just keep it going. But my worry about that division is we have such strong numbers. There's teams coming down with 10 players and 12 players to play away matches, and that's at a slight disadvantage because you want to use your 22 or 23 on a match day, but when you're playing against 10 and 11 players, it's difficult. So I think for the women, promotion has to be the objective. They were just pipped at the point at the final hurdle last year. So I think they'll learn the lessons from that for this year and will try and get promotion. But the really positive thing is the amount of work that's going on at underage level with women's and girls rugby Kilkenny. And Tom, you can probably see it that, I know some of the results don't go our way, particularly where we play yourselves. But the structures are being built by the works of Mags Hennessy and Derek Lawler, Richie Limkin, even Joe Manuel from the first 15. Joe's a heavily involved in coaching of the girls' teams now. His own daughter Grace is playing, who's a cracking rugby player. So the hope would be that we can just keep young players coming through and keep feeding the women's system. So, as we know, there's a strong fall off in women's sport, but we can keep feeding that team to try and get them up so they can earn, I suppose, not that we can try, that they can earn promotion through the divisions, and, that we can build on the great groundwork that's done at underage level. So I think women's rugby is just watch the space for the Kilkenny because it's going to get stronger and stronger.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Tom, you're out in action this weekend as well. You take a long trip up the country on Sunday. Hopefully there won't be a couple of sore heads after Saturday night, depending what happens over in France.
Yeah, this World Cup was kind of getting in the way because we had Longford had actually we thought we were going up there on Saturday to play, and the lads were looking forward to getting back and watching the match, but sure, look, these things happen. Longford were unable to do with youth fixtures and pitches and stuff. Were unable to organise the Saturday, which is understandable too, because there's so many youth matches and stuff going on at the moment. Trying to keep leagues going. So unfortunately, we have to go on Sunday. So I'm afraid the lads are a little bit disappointed, considering that if we do win on Saturday, the semi-finals on next Friday night, and we've organised to play De La Salle on the Saturday, so another night will be lost. But anyway, look, these things happen.
Let's get over the quarter-final first, lads. We're Irish, right? Let's just worry about that.
Yeah, that small matter.
But, look, we're looking forward to going to Longford. We're training well at the moment. The senior team is fairly settled at the moment. no major injury worries. One or two nigglies. One just still missing Sean Quinlan in the centre with his injury. He just has a niggly injury. It was one of those simple quad. I think it's his quad, something like that. But it's just one of those niggly injuries that's just not going away from him. Which we just wish him the best with his recovery, because I know he's frustrated not to get out on the pitch, and he's such an influential player when he is with us. Like so. Other than that, we're training well, as I said, a good number of first and seconds. As I said before, we got a few lads back from football and so on. So, look, I mean, it's no easy task going to Longford. We know this. We've had our ass handed to us before, like when we went up. We've got, so it's a case of to make sure that we're in the right frame of mind more so than anything else. It's like Jane saying about going over to tie your defence and so on. You have to, you're going to be in for it, but you have to be up for it. You really have to be up for the game to go to Longford. And it's a long drive, for the first and the seconds. So travelling across, you have to get out of the car and get yourself prepped again. After that long drive, and that's very hard. And it works both ways when they come down. But for us now, the key thing for us now is to get in the right frame of mind. We've training now tonight, so to get a good preparation in tonight. I know the lads will be watching the match or whatever, but then it's just to get over that and to work on what we need to do. Like the game that we're playing this year is probably slightly different to last year. We're a little bit more direct, up front, and I think it's something you have to change it up. We've been kind of playing the same system, and we need to change our system slightly. So, as I say, we're probably that little bit more direct this year than we were last season. Scrum is solid enough. We have again, without the injuries that we had last season, with Larry back in the front row, and young Tyrone is there. Yeah, Larry's still going, and he's not as old as we all think. But he's
a great
Larry McGrath. He's just unbelievable for a man. We'll just say he's over 30, and also Richie's in the centre, and we were laughing. Derek had been in, and he overheard Richie and another man of his era in with the physio going, Jesus, I don't mind paying if I'm playing, but I hate paying if I'm not playing. So I think Richie's going to be starting again on Sunday. He had a great game the last day, so I mean he's well deserved of his place, which is great. I feel like the James, the team is very similar to what it was, but as I say, our structures are going well. The new coaches have put in just a different aspect on certain things and a different voice this season. So it's we're looking forward to. We're not looking forward to the journey, but we're looking forward to the game. I mean, Longford do look after us well when we go up there, and the hospitality is always great. And I know it is a long journey, but we're happy to head over there. Back actually, just on the youths at the weekend were quite good. We've had mixed results, but they're ticking along nicely in the club. And the girls, our 16s, had a great win over the Rhinos. The Tullow Carlow Rhinos had a massive win again against us high last Friday night in Carlow. They're unbeaten for the season. They have a tough task now this weekend. They're heading up to Mullingar to play one of the favourites for the league this season. So I want to wish them the best of luck, because they're a fantastic team with some really outstanding players from both clubs. I think they're hashtagging it two clubs, one team. I think is their hashtag, and it seems to be working out really well for us. The 18s. We had a good win in Kilkenny, and James, I have to say, your team I said it to Gary Bricknell as well after the game. I know we beat you, but there was a huge difference in the two games in the team. Kilkenny have come on leaps and bounds. There's some fantastic players, and it won't be too long before they're competing at a higher level than they are. Then they have to just give a mention to the Southeast girls. They had the under-18s had a really good win against the Metro down in Gorey on Wednesday night, and it was Colleen Dwyer, Molly Sheridan, Roisin Kinch, and Chloe Crossley. The four of the girls had all played and played outstanding. Three of the girls from Tullow and one of the girls from Carlow. So it's great to see them getting a bit of game time.
Must be one of the other classes.
Yeah, I don't know where these are coming out from. It's another scrum half. So we have three backs. I thought Chloe, because when Chloe started, she used to play hooker and a bit of loose head prop, and I was all delighted because I was going to get a Crotty back in the front row again. But no such luck. She's gone to scrum half. So that's the end of my dream of a follow on is gone. So I must be. I don't know. I must be a mother or something, or mother's side of the family, because definitely it come from me anyway. But look, it was a great win for the girls. Some fantastic talent on that under-18 squad. I watched them train a couple of times over in the IT, and it's great to see for the Southeast that things are so good. Because actually two of those girls, Roisin and Molly, are actually under 16. Playing up to under 18s, and they're both phenomenal players. We all know about Roisin. She's a Leinster under 18 player and played a key role in their win of the provincial series there this year. And I think Roisin's only 15, just going on 16. She's just an outstanding player. So the future is bright for rugby, girls rugby in the Southeast anyway. And I think that's really it from my end of things this week.
Paddy, your men obviously are off this weekend, but the ladies are out against Tullow in Division 1.
Yeah, and before I just mentioned that, just to join with Tom in congratulating the four girls who represented the Rhinos, the Carlow Tullow Rhinos in the Southeast Robinson Cup. It was great, and it was Tom has mentioned it. I won't go over the ground again, but we're delighted for the girls, and it's a great achievement, and they did a very good win over the Metro. Our ladies had won 2 out of 3 so far. They were played Trinity last week and put up a cricket score against them, and it was a huge result, 41-3 or something, I think. So it was a fantastic result, and they're training well. They have a big match now against the old enemy, which is Tullow, who we after playing in a couple of flood finals there, and that's always a tough one, and they generally kind of beat us this time of the year. But we're going up in hope, I'd say, this time, because we've started better than we usually start. So we're going in a bit of hope for that. As you say, our men are have another week off, and they on Saturday week, then the first and the seconds will be away to Ashbourne. So we'll have to see how that goes. I mean, it's going back on what we spoke about earlier. It's going to be difficult to predict how the players will respond to everything that's happened. And, I think, and I'm hoping really that what some of them are saying over the last few days was that, look, let's do this for Conor. So I only hope that will bear out, because apart from the importance for the rugby, the importance for themselves, and the solidarity and the band of brothers, as they call themselves, I think if they use it as a something to drive them forward, I think it will be positive. It will be some bit of a positive anyway against that background. So yeah, that's Saturday week against Ashbourne, and we were going well 1-2, and then lost against Wicklow. So we're hoping to get back on the horse against that one. And as like Tom said, we have a few players back from Gaelic now that missed the last match, so hopefully that will. So it's very hard to know with Ashbourne. They've had mixed results in the league so far, and they're never easy. They definitely haven't been for us in the last few years. So we will look forward to that one as well. So that's what our underage teams again had pretty good results over the last 2 weekends. So we're all is positive on the youth side as well. And Tom has mentioned the girls, so we won't go back over that ground. So that's where we stand.
Actually, if I can just 2 items while we're on the topic of women's rugby. Johnny Tobin, previously of this parish, I believe he's taken up the role of head coach of the Lansdowne women's team. So congratulations to Johnny on that front.
Johnny.
He's gone very posh now. We won't be able to talk to me. He'll have a D4 accent now coming off.
Johnny Tobin.
Johnny Tobin.
Tubin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're drinking Heinemite.
You know.
Yeah.
The other one is actually related to ourselves, which I should have mentioned previously. Well done to everyone at Kilkenny. We hosted the Aviva Minis Festival last Sunday. I think there was 25 or 30 odd teams playing in it, boys and girls, from under 10s up to under 12s. And it was an absolutely wonderful day of rugby in the club. It was brilliant. I just called in for a few minutes for a quick look at it and took a walk around. But there's video up on the RFU website of it. And it's just remarkable. And the whole core of the day was to instill the values of rugby, of respect and fun and participation. And it was incredible to see so many young kids running around, having the crack and playing the game in the way it should have been playing. So well done to everyone at Kilkenny, but particularly George Marr, our minis coordinator, who kind of pulled the strings to make it all happen and bring it together. So it was great to see everyone come together and host that event.
Absolutely. Good stuff, lads. And just a small matter of an international match at the weekend. Job done against Scotland. A lot more impressive, I suppose, than I was expecting. But all focus is on the All Blacks this weekend, lads, tomorrow night. And there's a hell of a lot of talk in the media and all this, what would you call it? Chit chat over social media and all the mind games basically has started and is going on all week. But I don't think the lads will get too caught up with that.
I think there's too much talk for comfort. For me, we're the number 1 team in the world and we've been doing exceptionally well. And you can get a 10-point lead on the All Blacks and suddenly something magic happens and bang, they can just sucker punch you. I think we need to be very aware. We need to be very aware of that and look at who are we to say it. Our management and team will know that. In terms of the teams, I think Talea not starting is not in our favour because with our wingers having such a good and fullbacks having such a good kick chase, I think we would have been peppering him at high ball because he's fairly bad under a high ball. The fact that he's not in, I might think might actually help the Kiwis. I just think this one's going to be too hard to call. I'd love it if we win it. And I'm being quintessentially Irish here. I don't want to jinx it, but I'd love to win it. But I think it's going to be an absolute monumental effort for us to beat the All Blacks. I don't care if we beat them last year and we've done jobs on them so much in the last 2 years. We scalded the All Blacks. Peter O'Mahony is going to be a targeted man over his Richie McCaw, poor man's Richie McCaw, blah, blah, blah. I think Sam Kane will love nothing more than to meet him. And I know I'm being quintessentially Irish here. Maybe the lads might be a little bit more optimistic than I am. I just think we need to approach this one with absolute caution.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'm very nervous as well, lads. I think there's too many people tipping Ireland, and I think that's a real worry. I think if Ireland play fully to their potential, they should shade it. But the big fear is that the ghosts of former World Cups will come and haunt us. And I remember 3-4 years ago, there was a number of people predicting a win over the All Blacks too, and we all know what happened in Japan. However, I do honestly believe that the mindset is different now than it was then, thanks mainly to Andy Farrell. And I suppose Gary Keegan seems to be playing an enormous role in that regard. Yeah, but I'd be very much with James. I'm fierce nervous, and I think there's too many people predicting an Irish win for my comfort. Of course, we said the same last weekend, and look what happened. But yeah, please God, I mean, last weekend was just incredible. It was one of the the first half was one of the great performances in Irish rugby, and like in Scotland just aren't that bad. It was an amazing performance of precision and doing everything right, and defence. So we'll need that defence for 80 minutes next week. I think we had it for 40 last week, but we'll need it for 80 next week or tomorrow night. So please God, fingers crossed. And I'm as nervous as you are, James.
I'm glad because there's too many people not nervous.
Well, I'd be very nervous. The only thing is, if you look at New Zealand in the last couple of games that they've had, the defences that they're playing against haven't been coming up on them, and they've had plenty of space. If you look at the amount of actual time on the ball and space that they've had, it's something that you hope that they're not going to get against Ireland. And I think one of the things that they haven't had a game since France to actually test them. I know we've had tough games, and sometimes, and we all know this from Towns Cups and from other things, that sometimes that run of really tough games can just improve you, and as long as you don't have the injury, as long as you don't pick up big injuries in the middle of those hard games, like, it can be an advantage. And I that's the only hope that I would say, is that Ireland will kind of frustrate New Zealand, and if they get to a certain stage of the match, the New Zealand will actually panic a bit, because it is, I don't care, like, it has to get in their heads. There's an awful lot of expectation, like we all say about the expectation in Ireland getting over a quarter final, but because of the results that New Zealand have had over the last while, there's a huge pressure on them from them. I mean, rugby in New Zealand, as we all know, is like a religion, and they don't accept the second best, and I think the team will be aware of that. So I'm hoping that Ireland, Paddy, will defend can defend well for 80 minutes, and not let them in, or not give them any sense of if they can see a glimmer of hope, and because that's all it takes for New Zealand. They have the skill set and they have the players. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. So, like, they really, really do have to pressurise them, and like, they have fantastic. And I'd be worried about Mackenzie being on the bench there too, because he's a player that can come on, and he is electric. I know he doesn't start, and I watched a lot of him playing the Super Rugby this year, and he is absolutely phenomenal. He can turn the game. He can turn the game in a sixpence. He's
very hard to defend against.
I think and I think, James, he's one of these players that you don't start him. I think he's one that can come better off the bench, and you will have to watch him like a hawk, because he has the whole game. He can kick. He has he's a sidestep. He can pass. He's just electric. So, there's a couple of players there, and as like you said about the winger being missing, but I think that the danger now is that Mackenzie's after coming onto the bench, and that's really another strike attack player that they have. So Ireland will have to be really, really play to their absolute utmost best to beat these.
The other side of it is Paddy, you touched on the defence side. Ireland appear to be as happy, if not happier, without the ball now. They're like Scotland threw everything at them last week, everything. And Tullow came up the centre, and I said, Jesus, here he's coming. And WP Nail came up the centre. Is that his name? Ireland were just happy. They're not committing people to the rucks. They're going in, they're getting the breakdown. They're making sure the ruck is formed. They know when to compete on the ground, but they're fanning out, and they're just I think it's fantastic to watch Ireland in defensive mode at the moment as well. But, I think in attack, they're so comfortable in attack. And if you look at it, was it the first try? Was it was it Lowe's try in the corner? Was it Hansen's? I can't remember. I think it was the first try. Everyone knew their role, and like the detail was perfect. The lines, the angles, where people were hitting the line was just spot on. But if you looked at it in contrast as Scotland were trying to do a lot of the same things that Ireland were doing in attack, but their detail just wasn't there. There was a runner who might have been a split second late, or might have been Van der Meer might have been a little bit too narrow coming on an inside line and things like this. And then, Ireland defended it very well. But what I'm pointing against is I don't think the All Blacks, I don't think their detail will be as poor as the Scottish detail was last week. Brett Igo has been doing a few nice videos on it on Twitter during the week, and you can just kind of show where Scotland fell down, but what the All Blacks are doing well. So I think it's going to be an intriguing battle. I think it really, really is. But look at, as I said at the beginning, it's the All Blacks. You can't be complacent.
Yep.
We're looking forward to it, lads. Yeah, and plenty of other World Cup action this weekend. Lads, go well in your games in the Leinster League this weekend and the women.
I will say, if we win this match, we'll win the World Cup.
Ah,
Yeah.
No.
that's a big statement, James.
No.
Big
If we
statement.
win this match.
See what happens. We'll have a chat about it next week. Fingers crossed.
Okay.
It's positive.
Please God, we'll be
lads.
in good spirits this day week.
Yeah, absolutely. Go well this weekend, lads. Mind
Yeah.
yourselves. Thanks for coming on the course. We're back next week at the same
Thanks,
time.
Stephen.
That's it from the Knock On for this week. Thanks to Tom, James, and Paddy. Take it easy and enjoy your rugby this weekend.